Kody Brown walked into that Vegas dining hall with one mission: apologize to Christine for saying he never loved her. Simple enough, right? Except nothing about this man is ever simple. And what unfolded in those first 6 minutes of the episode was some of the most uncomfortable television Sister Wives has ever produced. The setting alone was bizarre. There sat Christine, happily remarried, glowing with the confidence of a woman who has genuinely moved on. Beside her was David Woolley, the man who now shares her life, her home, and her heart. And across from them both sat Kody Brown, eating sorbet like this was just another Tuesday afternoon. Then Kody opened his mouth, and everything went sideways. He started by telling Christine that he did love her, that he truly loved her, that he wanted her to be able to heal. And Christine's face said everything her words eventually confirmed. She looked at him like he had completely lost the plot. Because here is the thing, her husband was sitting right there, the man she chose after Kody, the man who actually shows up for her, and Kody thought this was the appropriate moment to profess past love. Christine fired back in her confessional with the kind of energy we have come to expect from her post-divorce era. She questioned why Kody would think this was remotely appropriate. She pointed out that if he was going to make declarations like this, maybe his own wife should be present. Where was Robin during all of this? Nowhere to be found. And that absence spoke volumes. The contrast between the two wives' requests was fascinating. Janelle had explicitly told Kody not to bring Robin to her apology. She wanted that conversation one-on-one. But Christine took the opposite approach. If you are gonna sit here and tell me you loved me while my new husband watches, then your wife should be here too. The audacity of doing this without Robin present made the whole thing feel less like an apology and more like an ambush. David sat there processing what he was witnessing. In his own confessional, he admitted feeling like the third wheel. He questioned why he was even in the room, but he also made an observation that cut right to the heart of the matter. You would not have married her. You would not have had all those children with her. If you did not love her at some point, you would not have built that life together. The apology was already off the rails and they had barely started. Kody was stumbling over his words, comparing their marriage to a storm. A tornado with occasional clear moments, beautiful from a poet's perspective, he said. And that phrase alone had viewers across the country spitting out their drinks. Poets write about tragedy and heartbreak. That was his compliment. That was his olive branch. Christine did not need this apology. She had already done the work. But what came next would make everything even more tense. The tension in that Vegas dining hall was already thick enough to cut with a knife, but David Woolley was about to make it so much worse. Or better, depending on which side you are on. Kody had barely finished stumbling through his poetic tornado metaphor when David leaned in. He asked Kody a simple question. "Can I give you a little bit of advice?" And the look on Kody Brown's face in that moment was absolutely priceless. You could see the walls going up in real time. You could watch him brace for impact. Because deep down, Kody knew whatever was coming next was not going to be comfortable. David delivered his advice with the calm confidence of a man who has been through his own battles and come out the other side. Start with your kids, 4 words. That is all it took to completely shift the entire energy of the conversation. Start with your kids. The women have moved on, David explained, but your children still need to heal. That is where your focus should be. The silence that followed was deafening. Kody's expressions cycled through about 15 different emotions in the span of 3 seconds. Surprise, anger, defensiveness, more anger. You could practically see the steam coming out of his ears. This was not what he signed up for. He came here to apologize to Christine on his own terms. He did not come here to be lectured by the new husband about his failures as a father. In his confessional, Kody made his frustration crystal clear. His whole purpose was to apologize to Christine, not to David, not to anybody else. Just Christine. He did not want David's advice, he did not ask for David's opinion, and he certainly did not appreciate being reminded of the fractured relationships with his own children while trying to check an apology off his list. But David was not finished. He shared his own experience, mentioning that he had to go through similar struggles with his own kids. He butted heads with them. He had to do the hard work of repair, and he came out the other side because he was willing to put in the effort. The implication was clear. Kody had not done that work. Kody was avoiding that work, and everyone in that room knew it. Kody's response was telling. He immediately deflected. He set what he called a boundary with his kids, and now he was setting that same boundary with David and Christine. He did not want to be reminded of his estranged children because it would bring him back to an angry place. Let that sink in. The mere mention of his kids makes him angry, not sad, not remorseful, angry. Then came the phrase that would define this entire episode. Kody insisted that the deterioration of his relationships with his children happened as a party. Not as an individual, it was a collective collective effort, he claimed. And with those words, any hope of genuine accountability vanished into thin air. There it was, the deflection heard around the Sister Wives fandom. Kody Brown looked David Woolley dead in the eyes and insisted that the breakdown with his children was not his fault alone. It was a collective effort, a party affair, something that happened to him rather than something he caused. Let that phrase marinate for a moment, collective effort, as if his 18 children all gathered in a conference room somewhere and voted unanimously to estrange themselves from their father. As if Christine and Janelle orchestrated some elaborate campaign to turn his kids against him. As if Kody himself played only a minor supporting role in the destruction of these relationships. This is the accountability dodge that fans have been watching Kody perfect for years. He has elevated blame shifting to an art form. When the marriages fell apart, it was because the wives were not loyal enough. When the family fractured during the pandemic, it was because nobody wanted to follow his rules. And now, when confronted about his children, it is because everyone collectively decided to abandon him. The reality tells a very different story. Viewers have watched in real time as Kody prioritized Robyn and her children over everyone else. They saw him skip holidays with his other kids. They witnessed him set impossible standards and then punish anyone who could not meet them. They heard him say horrific things about Janelle's boys. They watched him dismiss Isabel's medical needs. The receipts are endless. The evidence is overwhelming. But in Kody's mind, none of that matters. Because it was a collective effort, David handled the moment with remarkable restraint. He said what he needed to say, and then he backed off. He told the cameras that he dropped that bomb about the kids intentionally. He shared his own experience to give it context, and then he stepped back because he knew pushing further would only make Kody dig in deeper. Smart man, he understands how stubborn pride works. Kody, meanwhile, retreated to his favorite defense mechanism. He accused David of not understanding polygamy. He claimed that David only has a small perspective on the family dynamics. He insisted that because David has only been around for 2 years, he could not possibly comprehend the complexities of a 30-year plural marriage. But here is the thing. You do not need to understand polygamy to understand basic parenting. You do not need a degree in plural family dynamics to recognize when a father has abandoned his children emotionally. David sees the hurt in those kids because he is around them now. He witnesses the fallout that Kody refuses to acknowledge. The collective effort excuse is not just weak. It is insulting. It insults Christine, who fought for years to keep the family together. It insults Janelle, who tried to maintain peace. And most importantly, it insults the children who just wanted their father to show up. Here is the fundamental problem with Kody Brown's entire apology tour. He keeps showing up to offer closure to women who already closed that chapter themselves. And nobody exemplifies this more than Christine. She said it plainly in her confessional. By the time she committed to David, she was completely done with Kody. The chapter was closed. There was no gaping hole left in her heart. There was nothing that needed healing from his words. She took responsibility for her own closure. She did that work before she ever walked down the aisle with David Woolley. This is what genuine healing looks like. Christine did not wait around for Kody to validate her pain. She did not need him to acknowledge his mistakes before she could move forward. She grabbed her life with both hands and built something beautiful without his permission, without his blessing, and certainly without his apology. So when Kody sits across from her talking about releasing her so she can move on, the irony is almost painful to watch. She has already moved on. She moved to Utah, she sold her house in Flagstaff and kept the money. She fell in love with a man who adores her. She is thriving in ways that Kody probably never imagined possible. The patronizing nature of his approach cannot be overstated. He genuinely seems to believe that Christine has been stuck in some kind of emotional limbo, waiting for him to set her free. As if his words carry that kind of power. As if she has been holding her breath for years, hoping he would finally acknowledge that he did love her once upon a time. Christine made it clear that she wanted him to apologize for entirely different things. The kids, the things he said in confessionals after she left, the knife in the kidneys comment, the years of being made to feel like she was not enough. Those were the wounds that actually mattered, not some semantic debate about whether he loved her or not. But Kody could not read the room. He kept pushing his rehearsed apology about past love, while Christine's body language screamed that she wanted to be anywhere else. She checked her watch. She stood up to leave before he even finished. She had places to be and a life to live, a life that no longer revolves around Kody Brown's emotional needs. David understood this about his wife long before Kody did. He saw a woman who had already processed her trauma and emerged stronger. He did not rescue Christine from anything, he simply joined her on the journey she was already taking. That is the difference between a partner and a patriarch. The apology tour was never really about the women. It was about Kody trying to feel better about himself. It was about him checking boxes and performing accountability without actually being accountable, and Christine saw right through it from the very first moment he opened his mouth. While Kody was fumbling his way through the most awkward apology in reality television history, the cameras cut to Robin having a heart-to-heart with her daughter Aurora. And what unfolded was a masterclass in unintentional irony. Robin got emotional, really emotional. She started talking about her love story with Kody and something she called a burning of the bosom. For those unfamiliar with the term, it refers to a deeply spiritual moment where you feel divine confirmation, a message from God that settles into your chest and tells you this is the path you are meant to take. According to Robin, she experienced this burning of the bosom when she first met Kody. God told her that this man was her destiny. The feeling was so intense, so overwhelming that she began sobbing just recalling it for the cameras, tears streaming down her face as she remembered the moment she knew Kody Brown was the one. Now look, everyone is entitled to their spiritual experiences. Everyone is allowed to believe that their relationship was divinely ordained. But the timing of this confession could not have been more tone-deaf. While 3 women are still processing the wreckage of their marriages to this man, Robin is tearfully celebrating how God handpicked her to be his favorite. But the real moment came when Robin shifted into giving Aurora relationship advice. She told her daughter that a man should not be a financial plan for a woman. A woman needs to find herself and know herself before she becomes a wife and a mother. She needs to be independent and self-sufficient. The internet collectively raised an eyebrow. Because what exactly does Robin do for income outside of appearing on Sister Wives? The family has made no secret of their financial struggles over the years. Kody has complained about money countless times, and yet Robin lives in the largest and most expensive home of any of the wives, past or present. Viewers were quick to point out the hypocrisy. Robin married into this family with 3 children from a previous marriage. Kody legally adopted those children. She has been financially supported by the family structure from day one, and now she is lecturing her daughter about not relying on a man for financial stability. To be fair, Robin does earn money from the show. She participates in filming, she does the confessionals, she shows up for the drama, so yes, she contributes to the family income in that sense. But the idea that she is some model of female independence is a stretch that even the most devoted fans cannot make. The conversation with Aurora revealed something else too. Robin is nervous about her daughter's relationship moving toward engagement. She wants Aurora to slow down and experience life first. Coming from a woman who joined a plural marriage and had 5 children with a man who was already married to 3 other women, the advice feels complicated at best. After the disaster of the dining hall apology, you would think everyone would just go their separate ways, but no. Someone decided that the best way to ease the tension between Kody and David would be a trip to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Because nothing says conflict resolution like putting 2 competitive men behind the wheels of high-speed vehicles. The whole thing was supposed to be a bonding experience, a chance for Kody and David to find common ground, an opportunity for the ex-husband and the new husband to maybe possibly forge some kind of civil relationship. Instead, it turned into one of the most painfully awkward outings in Sister Wives history. The competitive energy between these 2 men was impossible to ignore. Both Kody and David claimed they were too old for competition. They were past those days. They had nothing to prove. David said flat out that he was not competing tomorrow. That was his younger years. And Kody agreed while eating his sorbet, insisting that kind of thing was beneath him too. Nobody believed them for a second. These 2 were absolutely competing. Every glance, every comment, every moment at that speedway dripped with masculine tension. They were measuring each other up without ever admitting it out loud. Christine got behind the wheel first. And here is where the dynamic got interesting. Kody and David stood together watching her drive, but there was no small talk, no questions about how life was going, no friendly conversation about Robin or the kids at home. Just 2 men standing in silence watching the woman they both loved at different times race around a track. Kody made a comment about Christine not hitting her marks on time. David responded with a Thelma and Louise reference that went completely over Kody's head. The disconnect between them was almost comical. They were speaking different languages while occupying the same space. When it was Kody's turn to drive, something shifted. The man who moments earlier claimed he was above competition transformed into a laser-focused athlete. His face was intense, his eyes locked on the track. According to those watching, he did not even blink. And when the times were tallied, Kody won. Not the entire event, but among their little group, he came out on top. Here is the thing about Kody Brown. The man is genuinely athletic. He has proven that over and over throughout the years. But winning a race against David Woolley does not fix his broken relationships. It does not repair the damage with his children. It does not make his apology any more sincere. He kept talking about wanting forgiveness, kindness, and clarity. He said all the right words, but his actions told a completely different story. He was more interested in beating David at something than in genuinely connecting with anyone. The speedway was supposed to bring them closer. Instead, it just highlighted how far apart they really are. After the speedway adventure, Kody met up with an old friend named Brian. They knew each other from Kody's Vegas days, back when he actually officiated Brian's wedding. This was supposed to be a casual catch-up between buddies, but what came out of Kody's mouth during their conversation revealed more truth than anything he said during his so-called apology tour. With his guard down and no ex-wives in sight, Kody got real. And by real, I mean brutally honest about how he actually feels. He told Brian flat out that he has no interest in being friends with any of his ex-wives. Not Christine, not Janelle, not Mary, none of them. Brian was visibly confused. He sat there listening to Kody explain the divorces, the darkness, the apology tour, and his face said it all. He even asked Kody directly why he was doing all of this if he did not actually want these relationships. The question hung in the air like an accusation. Kody tried to spin it. He talked about being cordial, about how plenty of divorced people maintain civil relationships for the sake of the children without actually being friends. But the way he said it made everything clear. He was exhausted by these women, annoyed by the process, going through the motions because he felt obligated, not because he genuinely wanted reconciliation. Then came the confession about trust. Kody told Brian that trust has been murdered, completely destroyed beyond repair. He said that he trusted each of his ex-wives with different things over the years, and all of that trust is now gone. They are all guilty, according to him. Everyone shares blame, and he needs to forgive himself for not being able to figure it all out sooner. Let that sink in. He needs to forgive himself. Not ask for forgiveness, not seek to repair what he broke. He needs to absolve his own conscience while simultaneously declaring that he will never trust these women again. The self-centeredness is almost impressive in its consistency. Brian pushed back a little. He asked if Kody and his ex-wives could ever get to a place where they could all be together as a family and just be cordial. Maybe holidays, maybe special occasions, just peaceful coexistence for the sake of the kids and grandkids. Kody's response was telling. He said he did not know. After everything he has done, after this entire apology tour, he still cannot commit to even basic family civility. He cannot imagine a future where they all sit in the same room without tension. And honestly, based on what we have seen, neither can anyone else. This conversation with Brian stripped away all the performance. The apologies to Christine and Janelle were exactly what they appeared to be: obligation, checkbox items, things Kody felt he needed to do rather than things he wanted to do. The real Kody showed up in that conversation with his friend, and the real Kody has already checked out completely. Just when you thought Kody could not make himself look any worse, he dropped a bombshell on his friend Brian that left viewers absolutely stunned. And the worst part is that he dropped it so casually, like it was just another piece of family gossip rather than a massive betrayal. Kody admitted that he and Janelle had discussed selling Coyote Pass without telling Mary, a backdoor deal, a secret transaction that would have cut Mary out completely. They were going to sell the property out from underneath her and Robin, pocketing the money before anyone else knew what was happening. Brian's reaction was priceless. He sat there processing what Kody had just confessed, clearly shocked that this was even on the table. This was the family property, the land they had all purchased together with dreams of building side-by-side homes, the place that was supposed to represent their plural family future. And Kody was ready to betray Mary without a second thought. According to Kody, Robin was the one who stopped the whole scheme. She put her foot down and refused to let it happen. He even suggested that Janelle probably would not have gone through with it either, that she talked a big game but likely would have backed out. Classic deflection. Blame the plan on Janelle while taking credit for eventually not doing something terrible. Brian asked the obvious question, are you going to tell Mary about this? You are on an apology tour after all. If you are really trying to make amends and clear your conscience, this seems like something she should know about. Kody's response was immediate and dismissive. Absolutely not. He was going to leave that conversation up to Janelle. He wanted nothing to do with telling Mary the truth. His excuse was pathetic. Everyone got paid eventually. Everyone's names ended up on the deed. So what does it matter that they almost screwed her over? The hypocrisy is staggering. This man is traveling around the country claiming he wants forgiveness and healing. He is sitting across from his ex-wives talking about moving forward with kindness and clarity, and yet he is actively hiding a betrayal that would devastate Mary if she found out from anyone other than him. But here is the thing, they were filming this conversation. The cameras were rolling, which means Mary is absolutely going to see this confession when the episode airs. Kody knows how reality television works. He has been doing this for nearly 2 decades, and yet he still sat there and admitted to almost betraying Mary while simultaneously refusing to tell her himself. The Coyote Pass saga has been messy from the beginning. The property has caused nothing but problems, financial strain, family arguments, legal complications, and now we learn that it almost became the site of the ultimate family betrayal. Kody wanted that money, he was willing to sacrifice Mary to get it, and the only thing that stopped him was Robin saying no. While all of this chaos was unfolding in Vegas, the cameras traveled to Parowan, where Mary had just received word that Kody wanted to apologize to her. Part 4 of the apology tour, the grand finale, and Mary's friends were not having any of it. Jen and Amber sat with Mary as she processed the news, and Jen immediately became the voice of every single viewer watching at home. She did not hold back. She did not sugarcoat. She looked at Mary and asked the question we were all screaming at our screens. Why, Mary? Why would you even consider meeting with this man? Jen laid out the receipts. Mary had been divorced for 2 years at this point. 2 years of silence, 2 years of being ignored. And this came after Kody and Robin would not even look at her during the sale of Coyote Pass. They treated her like she was invisible, like she did not exist, like 30 years of marriage meant absolutely nothing. And now Kody wants to apologize, now he wants to have a conversation? Jen was furious. She pointed out that Kody could have picked up a phone, he could have sent a text, he could have hopped on a Zoom call like a normal human being, but no, he wanted to do this in person, on camera, as part of his little apology tour performance. Amber backed Jen up completely. She asked Mary a question that cut right to the heart of the matter. How are you going to shake off his energy? This man has put Mary through the ringer for years. He has manipulated her, gaslit her, tried to stick her in a barn dominium while Robin lived in a mansion, and now she was going to let him back into her space to mess with her energy again. The title of the episode was Benevolence, and Jen pounced on that immediately. She knew exactly what Kody was going to ask for. More benevolence, more grace, more forgiveness without any real accountability. That word has become Kody's favorite shield. He hides behind it whenever he wants something without earning it. Mary reminded her friends about the NDA situation. Kody and Robin had tried to get her to sign a non-disclosure agreement. They wanted to legally silence her from ever writing a book, doing a podcast, or speaking publicly about her experiences. They tried to shut her down completely, and now she was supposed to sit across from him and accept an apology? Jen's suggestion was perfect. Put your phone on speaker when you meet with him because we want to hear this nonsense ourselves. It was exactly the kind of protective friend energy that Mary needed in that moment. But despite all the warnings, despite all the red flags, Mary said she wanted to hear him out. Some very ugly things had happened, and part of her still wanted closure, even if everyone around her knew that Kody was incapable of providing it. The preview for Part 4 of the apology tour promises fireworks, and based on everything we have seen so far, Murray is not going to make this easy for Kody. She has had enough, and she is finally ready to let him know exactly where she stands. In the clips that aired, Mary made one thing crystal clear. Kody is not going to silence her anymore. She told him directly that he was going to let her speak. No more interruptions, no more deflections, no more controlling the narrative while she sits quietly and absorbs his version of events. Those days are over. Kody told Brian his strategy for the Mary meeting. He planned not to escalate. If she punched him in the gut metaphorically, he would say he deserved it. If she did it again, he would say he probably deserved that too. He was going to persevere until he could reach her, until she heard him. But here is what Kody does not understand. Mary does not want to hear him. She wants to be heard. She has spent years being talked over, dismissed, and marginalized. She watched her husband fall in love with another woman while she was pushed further and further to the outside of the family. And now he thinks he can show up with rehearsed words and make it all disappear. The preview showed Mary drawing a hard line. She said if he does this thing one more time, she is shutting the whole conversation down and walking out. We do not know exactly what the thing is, but knowing their history, it could be anything from interrupting her to blaming her for their problems to asking for more benevolence without offering any real accountability. Meanwhile, Robin revealed something interesting. She said that Kody now confides in her about his previous wives in ways he never did before. She is up to speed on all the dynamics, all the things that went wrong, all the reasons the marriages failed, at least from Kody's perspective. This raises an uncomfortable question. What exactly has Kody been telling Robin about Christine, Janelle, and Mary? Has he been honest about his own failures? Or has he painted himself as the victim of 3 ungrateful women who destroyed the family? Based on everything we have witnessed, the answer seems obvious. Season 20 is building towards something bigger. The apology tour has exposed Kody more than it has healed anyone. His ex-wives have moved on, his children remain estranged, and his attempts at accountability keep falling flat because he refuses to truly own his mistakes. The Brown family will never be what it once was. That dream died years ago, but what comes next could determine whether any kind of peaceful coexistence is possible or whether Kody will continue burning bridges until there is nothing left but ashes and regret. Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't want to miss what is coming next.